Hello, everybody. It's Paul Neeson, and we're at the retreat right now as we speak. Stacy Cohen is speaking. She's a raw food chef. I've known her for almost 20 years, and she just made some great recipes, and now she's doing a demo. And I'm just getting ready here for a raw dinner that we're going to have soon. And this retreat has been just a complete success. And we only had 25 spaces to fill, and we filled them. So I'm thinking of holding another retreat in May. Maybe it might happen in June. Maybe it'll happen in April. But right now I'm thinking in May. And let me just show you this clip from Stacy, who's speaking right now as I'm speaking. And I'm going to get this out to you. So there's a live clip. I also have videos of all of the people that have been here speaking. Some of them I messed up. I forgot to have the microphone on, but we'll get them next time. But we just had a great time. We're learning, and we're going to do better even next time. And it's just, wait till you see the videos, folks. Join up for the Raw Life Health Show, and you'll be able to check those out. We'll get them, some of them on YouTube. But if you're interested in coming to the next retreat that we're going to have, remember the spots fill up quick. I actually had to turn people away. And at first I was not too happy about that, but you know, the space we have is not a space for more than 25 people. I could get a bigger space, but everything went so perfect here. I'm only going to do it for 25 people. So Paul at rawlife.com. You can email me if you think you might be interested in coming to that next retreat. I should have information out about that on next week. Maybe a date and who's coming and the cost and so on. But I'm telling you, it is complete success. That's what it was. And it's not over yet. We're right in the middle because we still have a whole another day. And tomorrow night we're going to go to Hippocrates Health Institute to finish off the retreat. So check out Stacy Cohen, who's on live right now. You see it below the screen in a little box. Well, let's just click in and see a recipe she's currently making.
Day of the week, you'll get in there and you'll make a few other kinds of foods. So twice a week, not so hard. When we think of going back to our roots, when we didn't have as many packaged goods and we didn't have the fast food restaurants. So I always say you can spend time at the doctor's office waiting, or you can get in the kitchen. So just balance your time out. So you're important. So this recipe is mock salmon pate, and sometimes I will grind the nuts. If I grind the nuts first, I'm going to empty them back out, and I'm going to put all my wet food in there first. So just like when we do food combining, we want the wettest, juiciest foods first, and that's going to help to turn everything else. If I have all this dense material down here, then it's not going to grind, and it's going to be harder to turn over. It's going to take longer. It could possibly get hot. And I love that we don't even have to use a knife on the food, and we can just break into it. So I don't know if it's been mentioned to you by anybody else that did a demo, but when we put metal to the food, it changes the ionic structure. You don't have to know all about that, but we need more negative ions in the air and in our bodies so that we create the right kind of charge and keep ourselves healthy. You can find out all kinds of other information on that. But you know, how easy is it just to break it up? And I really like to be with my food. There's a book called Play With Your Food. And at one time, my grandchildren, when they were just young, they were not going to eat anything green. So I took the spiralizer, and I took the zucchini, and I put it on my fingers, and I wrapped it around my wrist. And then I took the sauce. They were like 3 and 5, and I smeared the sauce on my arm. And I started eating it, and they were like, well, I want some. And I said, oh, you know, I want to do that. And I said, well, you can't do that unless you're going to eat it. If you're going to play with your food, you have to eat it also. So very important there. So ways to make it fun for the kids. Let them break it up. And then the smell comes through, and it's wonderful. So we have the red pepper and my green onion. Now I am going to cut this. And I could probably just break that up too. But it's all been washed. But I just want to show you, it takes moments. I didn't want to have everything fully prepped for you here because it just takes a minute. And a great thing to do if you don't like being in the kitchen a lot, line up a whole bunch of slices of lettuce or whatever you have to do. And of celery. And I like to use just regular kitchen knives, whatever I have around. I do have ceramic knives also. That's what I was going to mention, that the ceramic knives will also not create that breaking of the negative and positive bond. So If you have a big chef's knife and you have a lot to work with, great. But I just love these little knives. And you have to know your food processor because they'll take all different sizes of food items. And I had one where I used to be able to throw in great big chunks and it would mix it around. But in this one, I have to break it up a little more. So red pepper, green onion, celery, you have a recipe in there, and 2 cups of walnuts. And the thing I like to mention about walnuts, if this one says 2 cups right here, if I try measuring it and going right to the top, well, think about your nuts, even the way they lay in the bag. There's spaces in between. So sometimes if your food is coming out too light, too watery, then maybe you haven't got a correct measure. I like to go over a little bit. And I like to be gentle with what I'm putting in. So it says half to a whole teaspoon of salt. Start with a half a teaspoon and see if that's enough, because you can always add more, but it's really hard to take that away. And I've gotten really good about not having to fully measure that out. So we'll just do that and turn it on. And you can hear that it was starting to get a little funny sound because everything moved away. So I don't want to let it really whirl and get more heat in there and break down those ions. So I turn it off a number of times and I keep stirring it. And you'll see from the top, everything's moving away. And right now, I'll show it to you, that it's some there. I'm usually a big slob, so it might go all over the place. But you can see it's really chunky, and it's really good this way too. But you're going to taste the walnut, taste the celery, taste the red pepper. So really grind this down so it's a very smooth pate, and you're going to have a whole other taste. So usually when I do a class, I let you taste it now and after. You might find another way to make a stuffing out of this, or some other thing that you want to do and change it just a little bit. So just depends on your textures. So it's having a little trouble moving, so I really got to get down the bottom. So there's another thing that happens is every time you make it, it can be a little different depending on your red pepper. Maybe it wasn't very juicy. Maybe the celery is not as juicy. So you can add a little water to this if it was needed. And this is really all there is to it. I don't want to not grind it all the way. I feel that would be a disservice to you because then you really wouldn't get to see what it's like. But we do have samples for you, so we're going to pass that out. And but we'll do this for just another moment. So the way I use this, I've made little burgers out of these and dehydrated them, not fully. I kept them a little soft inside, and I froze them. I don't usually freeze things. I want to eat things fresh, but I needed to have some for grandkids coming to town, and I just knew there wouldn't be enough time. Then when I take them out and put them in the dehydrator again, they're perfect. But that wouldn't happen if you just took a container of this and put it in the freezer. It needed to be dehydrated a little bit to really hold up. Another way is just having a big scoop of this with a salad. And then I also put it in a lettuce leaf or Swiss chard. Great way to introduce different foods like Swiss chard or even collard greens. One of my favorites is with the pate and a little bit of avocado on top. I shred some carrots. I might shred some zucchini, or maybe I have it left over from another dish. And then I chop up apples and put it on top. And it's amazing. It just brings out that sweetness. I can roll it like a burrito and take it right on the road with me. So I'm just going to give this another minute. And you can see the bottom always moves a little easier than the top. And I've ruined a lot of, I did get that on you. I'm really good at that. I did lose a lot of spatulas in the beginning. If you really have an urge to do that, here's a little trick. Put it down and find that blade, pull it up. Pull it up so that you can still just barely move it around. I mean, don't try this if you haven't really worked with the machines and you're not good. But that's one way I found to do it. That even in your blender, sometimes we have to take the top off and move things around a little bit. So I find where the blade is Here's my hand, I lift it up. I'm not gonna hit a blade. You've gotta have a good grip on there. And then sometimes I can just, if something's really sticking, I can just hit the top of that. And I won't go past where my hand is. Bad trick to show you, but when you get to be really proficient with the machine, you can do it. All right.